Okay, I think we're running a little late. We're sorry for that. I call the Drainage District Board of Directors meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
David Fuentes, Precinct 1.
Eddie Cantu, Precinct 2.
Joe Flores, Precinct 3.
Ellie Torres, Precinct 4.
All members are present. That constitutes a quorum. Will you please lead us in prayer, Mr.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much. Let us pray. Father God, again, give you many thanks for another day that you've given us to serve, Lord. We continue to pray for our county, continue to pray for our leadership, and continue to especially pray for our judge and our 4 commissioners, Lord, that you've appointed to lead this great county of ours. So we lift them up to you, Lord. Continue to provide them with your wisdom, Lord, with your hedge of protection, Lord, and more importantly, your peace, Lord, as they continue to make the decisions that affect us all, Lord. I just ask for your same wisdom for myself, Lord, for all the rest of the leaders of the county, for all the workers of the leaders of our counties, Lord. And surely your grace, your mercy, your love, and your peace will be all over us. I ask this in your Son, Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. Do we have anybody signed up for open forum?
No, sir.
Nobody signed up for open forum. Okay. Then, does anybody want to pull anything out of the consent agenda?
Just for the record, we're just putting payments on bond series 2012 and 2018. Everything's in order.
Move for approval on consent.
Second.
There's a motion and a second to approve the consent agenda. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. 5A, submission of 2018 effective and rollback tax rates for Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1. We did put before the board there a summary of the benchmarks for 2019 tax rates that we have. Before you, the effective tax rate is at 0.921. We currently have our tax rate at 0.951, and our rollback rate would be at 10.72. So what we would be recommending for the board to consider at the very minimum would be a 10.51, which is a 1 cent increase to our current tax rate. And the reason we would recommend that is because we have already sold our first bond sale of the $84 million, and that would be what we would be proposing, the 1 cent increase at the very minimum, considering that we had promoted or talked about the ultimate impact to our tax base would be a 3 cent over the long haul for the sale of the full $190 million that we had approved. So that's in a short summary what we're looking at right now. The rollback rate is 10.72. That would allow us for additional operation expenditures. As you know, our district has grown tremendously in maintenance and so forth. If the board were to propose that tax rate, we're still going to have the 2 public hearings. And after the 2 public hearings, when Mr. Villarreal lays out the calendar for the adoption of the actual rate, is when the actual rate will be taken into account. So the board could propose a 10.72 now and always go down to the 10.51 or wherever the board sees that we need to go to.
So, go ahead. I'm sorry. During that entire bond process, we talked about it. We had the voters approve a 3 cent increase, right?
That is correct.
So this comes out of that 3
that is correct.
That we anticipated that we were coming out with.
That is correct.
Let's just make sure that, I believe that when we sold the bond series, the first tranche, it was at a lower interest rate than we had anticipated.
That is correct.
So in our models where we predicted a 3 penny increase overall, because we have a lower interest rate that we sold this first tranche at, we didn't have to raise taxes as much as we probably would have.
Correct.
Had we done it under that conservative model that we had put out before. So we're actually increasing at a lower rate than we had anticipated, correct?
That is correct. If you think just in numbers wise, we're almost halfway point of the sale of the first tranche, and we're only going 1 cent. Yes, sir.
So instead of 1.5 cents, more or less,
approximately, yes.
From a pro rata standpoint, we're really only increasing at 33%. On that 1 penny.
It's a fair statement, yes, sir.
So along with those lines, because of the conversation you and I had yesterday at our work, I too will only want to pay for what we approved in the bond, nothing more.
Yes, sir.
And so when I first saw it, I was like, oh, we're going to do a tax increase, no way. But then as we talked, you told me it was basically what we had, the 3 cents. Of course, we haven't sold it all, so we're not going to do 3 cents. But don't take anything extra, just whatever we need to pay the bonds back.
Very, very well understood.
Okay.
And that's our focus. Believe me, our job is going to be to make sure that on the next sale that we're with our team, that we get the best rate that we can and try not to go to 3 cents eventually. You know, our goal is to stay at 2.5
just
or
like,
something.
like
Yes.
Commish said, if there was savings,
Yes.
let's bring it less
Oh,
than
yes,
3
for
cents.
sure. We're only going to do what we need to do to service the debt that we committed to.
Yeah, even though we have the 3 cent capacity, if we don't need to get there with what
course.
we approve, then obviously we'll try to keep taxes down as much.
That
as
is our
we can.
focus, yes, sir. That is completely 100% our focus.
Okay, no action is required on this item.
You need to take a vote, Judge? Yes.
We
The
we
proposed
do
vote?
need to take a vote?
The proposed tax rate of,
You tell us so that we, based on what.
the
we just said.
1051 would be the minimum that we would require for the 1 cent increase of our current tax rate.
And that's
So-
item 5A4, right?
So what's the difference between 1 and 3 in the agenda?
Right now, I'm just submitting the effective and rollback tax rate.
Number 4 is the action item.
Is the action
Okay.
The
item.
proposed,
So, right now-
it's the proposed rate. And
Right
number
now,
1, they're
it's
providing you,
just the presentation.
1, 2, and 3 is providing you with the information.
Discussion, that's what I
Right.
said, I don't think we need to take any action until.
You're correct, Judge.
Okay.
What about
Well,
the-
just wanted to make
We'll
sure.
move to item 2, and then
Okay.
on the 4th one is where you're going to propose it.
There you go, okay.
Discussion of 2019 planning calendar, I'll have Mr. Villarreal present that.
Okay. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Good to be here. Like, as you,
You know, I've known Paul for many, many years, and I finally got to see him without a coat and tie in the golf.
You saw me out there?
tournament.
you
Well,
know,
he's good at both, he's
I
good
was
at
out
both
there.
things.
Judge, Commissioners, Mr. Wood was going over the effective rate, you know, of 0.0921, and of course, the rollback tax rate of 0.1072. They're proposing the 0.1051. Anytime that you go above the effective tax rate of 0.0921, and you're proposing something higher than that, then at that point, we have to have 2 public hearings. So since we're going to exceed the 0.0921, because of the proposed 0.1051, if you go to the calendar, our first meeting will be on September the 3rd, the first public hearing. The second public hearing will be on September the 17th, 2019. So at this time, what we need to do is, since we're exceeding the effective tax rate, we need to approve the 2 public hearings, of the 3rd and the 17th, and also at the time, if it's going to be at 9 a.m. and at this location, so we can go ahead and make sure that we post a notice on the newspaper allowing the community, the taxpayers to be here on that day so they can ask questions.
Can you answer as to why we, I mean, I understand, but, you know, the voters approved a 3 cent rate increase already. And the public hearing serves what purpose in that?
Well, the public hearing is, we have to follow the truth and taxation of the state controllers. So when I get the value from the appraisal dish from last year and this year, we're making a comparison of how much money we need to what tax rate that the county commissioners can approve. So even though you did probably have the 3 cents, we still have to go by this. And when you get the effective tax rate of 0.0921, what it's telling you is saying that you can generate the same amount of revenue from last year based on the value increase. So, but it allows you to go to 1072, which is your rollback. It allows you to go a little bit higher if you need some more money to operate, you know, like the drainage district. So that's why we have to have those 2 public hearings. And of course,
But I think it's more of a legal question, because I think what you're asking is since we're not going over the 3 cents that was already authorized, why do we have to go through public hearings again?
I would just like an explanation
Yeah,
as to
Yeah,
what it is.
and
I think it's-
I can look into it and let you know. I'm assuming this is simply the process that's required, but in any other regular situation, but since the voters have voted on it, I can.
And I don't want to confuse the issue, and that's why I'm asking.
Right.
It's not that I don't want a public hearing. I'm just asking what's going to be the intent of the hearing if the authorization for a 3 cent increase is already there.
Correct.
So I don't want the public to come with a misunderstanding that they might be able to change it, or the authorization for the 3 pennies is already there because of the drainage projects that we put out in the bond.
Right.
So I just want to know what the intent of the public hearing would be if it's already authorized for an increase.
Okay, we can look into it and get
Thank
back.
you.
Okay, so you're discussing 2 and 3 now, right, Paul? I mean, you're
Yes.
discussing both? Okay.
Yeah, so right now, let me make sure. It's okay. Discussion, okay. Now, but with the discussion of the 2019 tax rate, I think we already discussed it.
We discussed
So
it.
now what we need to do is take a proposed, well, we have to take a record, vote, or just a vote of you all for the proposed rate of .1070, .1051, and then take the vote for the public hearings.
Okay. May I have such a motion, please?
For this one, do we have to do it individually? Is that the?
Well, yes, because the rate is one that's proposed, and then the
No,
second.
he means vote.
Because you're saying.
Well, we'll make the motion and then vote
Oh, yeah.
out, yeah.
Okay, I make a motion to approve as presented.
Second.
Okay, may I have a roll call vote? Precinct 1.
Yes. Aye.
Aye.
Precinct 2, it's an aye. Precinct 3?
Aye.
Precinct 4?
Aye.
County judge says aye.
So we're
Have unanimous.
proposing a 10.51. It's our proposed tax rate that we'll be proposing.
As
Okay?
you presented, yes.
Yes, that's presented. Great. And now, Judge, we just need the record vote for the setting of the public hearings, or was that the same?
Well,
That's the way I understood it, as presented and recommended.
So both, okay? Excellent. So with the public hearings as presented and recommended, we'll have those 2 public hearings, and then we'll have the adoption meeting. Any other action needed?
Again, just a clarification, if Ivan, you can give us before the public hearing, the
Yes.
purpose of it. Okay, thank you.
Great. If I may, Judge, I'll move on to item B.
yes, please.
Okay, great, thank you. Discussion and action for adoption of resolution of the Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 Single Jurisdiction Hazard Mitigation Plan. District has been working on a mitigation plan. We finally got our notice that we can adopt and move forward. So our plan basically entails our major projects, Rainbow Drain, Delta, but also other projects district-wide. This next year, we're going to be focusing on other areas that we need to add to our plan. Simply, our hazard mitigation plan is just in an event that we have a disaster, we look to that for funding opportunities with federal partners and so forth. So we're just moving to adopt it. I'll read it real quick for the record. Whereas the Hidalgo County Drainage District 1 has prepared a multi-hazard mitigation plan, hereby known as the Hidalgo County Drainage District 1 Single Jurisdiction Hazard Mitigation Plan, July 2019, in accordance with the Disaster Mitigation Act of 2000. And whereas the Hidalgo County Drainage District 1 Single Jurisdiction Hazard Mitigation Plan, August 2019, was prepared in accordance with FEMA requirements, Code 44 CFR 201-6, and authorized by the Texas Disaster Act of 1975, relating to Emergency Management Government Code 418-106. And whereas the Hidalgo County Drainage District Number 1 Board of Directors recognizes the threat that natural hazards pose to people and property within the district, and whereas the Hidalgo County Drainage District 1 Single Jurisdiction Hazard Mitigation Plan, July 2019, identifies mitigation goals and actions to reduce or eliminate long-term risks to people and property within the district from the impacts of future hazards and disasters. Now, therefore, be it resolved that Hidalgo County District 1 Board of Directors hereby adopts the Hidalgo County Drainage District 1 Single Jurisdiction Hazard Mitigation Plan, July 2019, as this jurisdiction's multi-natural hazard mitigation plan, and resolves it to execute the action in the plan subject to available funding. Dated this 20th day of August 2019.
This is an important distinction. Make the motion to approve.
Second. Can you explain the distinction to me again? Because I was going to ask, we're approving the resolution. Does approving the resolution mean we're approving the plan?
That is correct. And the plan, again, it's a foundational plan, Judge.
Okay.
It has all the
Okay.
projects in it, but it's not the entire, this year, we're going to be working on adding to the plan. And we can always amend the plan at a future date.
Okay.
As other projects develop and we see the need, we can put that in that mitigation plan.
There are funding sources, Judge, that are going to become available, but only with this.
With this resolution?
And it's already part of what we do, but it's an important part of the process.
Right,
No,
that's correct.
it tells them that the government is supporting,
Yes.
supporting it. So we have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. Excuse me. Discussion possible action to permit Iowa Utility District use of Hidalgo County Drainage System 1 equipment, 12-inch pump suction hose and discharge hose for approximately 5 days. Iowa reached out to us for the possibility of assisting them with some pumping issues that they're having on the west side. We said yes, but we felt after speaking with legal that we needed to bring it to the board just as more of a notice. We don't object to it, but we wanted for the board to be okay with it as per legal recommendation. So
Move for approval. Second.
And are they going to pay for anything of this?
No,
This
it's
is
in
just
kind service,
a
yes.
courtesy, okay?
Yes, it's
And
a
that's
courtesy.
within the law. I mean, that's within the rules, okay? We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you very much. We do have two quick items in executive session.
Okay, pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code under Section 551.071 and 551.072, we will be retired to executive session to discuss those items. Any action to be taken will be taken in open session. May I have a motion to retire to closed session? Have a motion and a
Second.
And a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
When opposed, motion carries. We're back from executive session. Are there any action items to be taken?
No, sir. Under real estate acquisition, we'll proceed as directed, and nothing on the other items discussed.
Okay.
Judge, Commissioners, my apologies, but when I gave Monica the paperwork, I just didn't see it. Commissioner, you had.
Yeah, in open session, I just wanted to, open forum, sorry, I wanted to make sure, just to update everybody, last week we attended the Water Development Board hearing for the rainy day fund. That'll be part of Proposition 8 in the constitutional amendment. Maybe next Tuesday you can put an agenda
Yes, sir.
item on
We'll-
so that we can give an
we'll put something to
update
talk a little bit about
overall
everything.
on how it's going. Commissioner Torres and I attended, and we'd like to give an update in the next meeting.
We'll put an item on the agenda.
Thanks, sir.
Okay, I think that concludes all the agenda items. May I have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Judge, you have 2 minutes for Commissioner's Court. 2 minutes.
Okay, I call the Hidalgo County Commissioners Court meeting to order. May I have a roll call, please?
David Fuentes, Precinct 1.
Eddie Conte, Precinct 2.
Eli Torres, Precinct 4.
All members are present. That constitutes a quorum. Today, we're very proud to have the county's building maintenance manager, Danielle Flores, leading us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Gunnery Sergeant Flores is a United States Marine Corps veteran. He served from 1980 to 2000. Gunnery Sergeant Flores is pictured here with his lovely wife, and we thank you, his lovely wife Norma, and of course, we thank you very much for your service.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Let us pray. Almighty God, we come together today for the good of the citizens of Hidalgo County. Give us your wisdom as we make decisions that will affect them today and in the years to come. Help us to work well together, recognizing that each of us are here because we want what's best for Hidalgo County. We ask for your blessings and your guidance. Amen.
Amen. We have the next, the approval of the consent agenda. Any items need to be taken out?
Yes, sir, Judge, if we could take out of order consent agenda item 8A and 8B, 1 and 2.
Make a motion to approve the rest of the consent.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And when opposed, motion carries.
Judge, Commissioners, for the record, Commissioner Fuentes is abstaining from any action and or discussion with respect to consent agenda item 8A and 8B, 1 and 2. We could have motion to approve 8A and 8B, 1 and 2.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And when opposed, motion carries. Okay, we have item 5.
Mr. Villarreal.
Judge, Commissioners, thank you again. I'm here for the county presentation. I think Mr. Jaramillo is going to give you the effective rate calculations in the calendar.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Before you, you have also the governing summary of the effective tax rate. The effective tax rate is 0.5788. The rollback rate is 0.6211. The last year's rate was 0.58. So just for you to know, if you propose 0.58, we're going above the effective tax rate, which is 0.5788. So at this point, if you want to propose the same rate as last year, we do also have to have the two public hearings, which will be the September the 3rd and the 17th. So I'd like to see.
I think the conversation's been to at least cut it half a point, maybe more. But if we cut it half a point, then we won't need the public hearings, correct?
Yeah, if you go with the effective rate of 0.5788, then at that point we don't need the public hearings, and you'll generate in more or less the same amount of revenue as last year. If you want to propose the 0.58, you're going to probably get another additional 393,000. So.
I think so far Sergio's recommendation, from what I could tell, is 0.575, which is below the effective tax rate.
Okay,
Is that correct?
0.57.
0.575?
I gave the options to the court as far as on the reduction for that. Half penny decrease would be roughly about 1.6 in lost revenue. Again, on the proposed tax rate, whatever we propose right now, at adoption, we cannot go higher. If we were to propose either the 5.8 or the effective tax rate, during the adoption, we can adopt the lower rate as we continue through these budget proceedings.
Well, and that's why I'm very confused as to why this comes before our discussion on the budget. How can we establish a tax rate if we haven't finished discussing the budget? I'm just wondering.
That's just the way the state legislature has created this. Even on the adoption, I believe, of the budget as well, we need to adopt the tax rate before we adopt the budget. Mainly, again, for I guess, notice to the public as to what the court is considering. As I mentioned before, we've had the situation before where the court was considering lowering the tax rate. They proposed the higher tax rate, and then at budget adoption and at the setting of the tax rate, they approved the lower amount.
Okay, so that we can be sure as to really the consequences of our actions. If we were to lower the tax rate, and I'm not proposing either way, next year, what would be the base for the 3.5% increase limitation that we have? The new tax rate, right?
Say that again, Judge. I apologize.
We have a 3.5% increase that the state legislature
For the cap.
for the cap. So by lowering the tax rate this year, then it's 3.5 from that new rate.
From that
going
new
up.
rate, correct. Every future year, it will be from that same rate.
Yeah. Okay.
So just to be clear, Sergio, we can approve 0.5788, which is less than last year. We don't have to have the public hearings, but then we could, if we so decide, we can go lower than that.
Correct.
We just can't go, okay?
You just can't go back to the 5.8. If you have a proposed tax rate of 5.788, you wouldn't be able to go back to the 5.8. If you were to propose a 5.8, then you can go down to the 5.788 or go down even further if the court wishes.
So 5.8, we wouldn't need a
5.8, you would still need the two public hearings. We would
Oh, then
have,
let's just do
we would have the two public
0.5788.
hearings
Yeah.
September 3rd, and I believe the week after.
Let's do 0.5788 as the highest, but I'm hoping that we get lower than that. So I make a motion to approve 0.5788. Is that what you need from us?
We need a motion on a proposed tax rate, yes.
Okay.
Second. Okay, any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Let me just say that since you proposed a 0.5.
Sergio.
Since you proposed a 0.5788, we will not have the public hearings on September 24th, 72 hours before. We'll put this on the agenda. Then at that point, you can either adopt that or lower, whatever you like. Right?
And so we've had conversations about the cap, the effect of the cap to us, and what we've seen is because of our increase in values, we don't really even get close to the 3.5%. Is that correct?
That's correct. Over the last 5 years, we haven't had a significant increase as far as on the calculation of the effective tax rate to get close to that cap. It's not to say that
No, it could
we
happen,
could
but
boom
we
and
haven't gotten
at some
close.
point get back to where we were back in the early 2000s, where we were having significant increases to our valuations.
Do you feel comfortable with that 5788, that even with the uncertainty of the new courthouse, that we'll be able to cover the M&O that would be necessary for that new building?
Again, we have sort of a projected M&O of roughly about $4 million. So we would be increasing our M&O by roughly about $3 million. So we do need to make changes to our budget now and try to keep our budget as trim as possible to be able to afford that M&O expense.
See, this is why I asked him for a 5-year budget plan, because we're going to have 2 more courts, county court of law. He already told us it's $2.5 million.
Correct.
Okay. Then we're going to have a new expansion of the courthouse, and you're estimating $4 million?
We expect the M&O to be $4 million,
Okay.
which will be roughly about $3 million more.
If my Aggie addition is correct, 2.5 and 4, $6.5 million, that's already 2 cents.
Correct.
On
Almost
your
2
tax
cents.
rate. So any little sneezing or whatever we have on property values, I mean, it's something to consider. That's why we really need to have that 5-year budget plan
Correct.
going forward, because decisions we make today are going
Will
to
affect
affect
us in
those
future years.
decisions in the future.
You also have your census coming up, and that's going to change
And
our
then the coroner,
responsibility.
if we have to add the coroner, that's another $1 million. So we can spend millions real quick here.
Yes.
We spend millions every year.
Yeah.
That's kind of my concern, is that we see that we have a little bit of freedom, and so then our expenses go up tremendously. I think that we need to set something a little bit tighter so that we're less willing to expand, our workforce and other expenses that we have that are not the necessary expense, like bringing on a courthouse and other things like that. The coroner, all those are have-tos. But what happens every year is we do a lot of wants. And so I'd rather be a little stricter and tighter with a budget. But I am taking all that into consideration.
No, I know you are. I know you are. We all are. At least I hope we all are. Okay, well,
There's no other questions?
we've already taken
Thank
a
you.
motion and approval, so that's the tax rate, okay? You're done, Paul, basically?
No, it's next, sir.
So I'm sorry, just to make everything clear. So we've done 5A, submission of the 2019 effective rollback tax rate. Then the discussion of the planning calendar, which is what Mr. Vidal was talking about, whether or not there was going to be
Public
any
hearings or
public
not.
hearings. Then discussion of tax rate. So record vote. And so can we take the same
Yeah.
vote that we did as we did in the drainage by show of?
By show of hands.
So it's unanimous.
Okay.
Okay, I'm sorry.
Santos Castilla, Motor Vehicle Manager. Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. I have item B, 5B, discussion, consideration, and approval of a resolution authorizing Hidalgo County's participation in an interlocal agreement between Hidalgo County and the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles for the provision of equipment and consumables related to the automated registration and titling system maintained by the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles.
Move for approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
very much.
I also have 5C, which is the actual agreement. Discussion, consideration, and approval to renew the interlocal agreement between Hidalgo County and the Texas Department of Motor Vehicles for the provisions of equipment and consumables related to the automated registration and title system maintained by Texas Department of Motor Vehicles.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Paul, I know you're busy, but could you stick around until we get to executive office? I have something that I'd like to bring you up on. Thank you.
Item 6A.
Judge, there's Miss Rosie. Go ahead. I didn't see you in the background.
Good morning, Commissioners. Judge Rosalinda Cantu presenting for the District Attorney's Office. Item 6A, DA Victim Coordinator and Liaison Grant, Fund 1281. We're asking for approval and authorization for county judge to electronically sign through DocuSign the grant contract for the Victim Coordinator and Liaison Grant for fiscal year 2020.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Number 2, we're asking for approval to accept the VCLG grant in the amount of $42,000 effective September 1st, 2019 through August 31st, 2020.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Approval of certification of revenues by the county auditor for the fiscal year 2020 VCLG and appropriation of funds.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
We are also asking for approval to reclassify fringe benefit expenditures to the criminal DA general fund account.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
See how quick you go when you're ready?
Thank you.
7A.
Morning, Judge, Commissioners, Chief Herrera of the Sheriff's Office. 7A, Edward Byron Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, JAG 1282, 1 through 5. You want me to read them all first, or go one by one?
Hold on a second. Well, go take all the ones that are related to each other
Okay.
at the same time.
Judge, the only issue is number 2 is a public hearing.
Well, you
Well,
can't
we'll
do
go
that.
one at a time. Number 1, authorization and approval to apply for fiscal year 2019 Edward Byron Memorial Justice Assistance Grant, JAG program with the U.S. Department of Justice.
Move approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. I hereby call the public hearing regarding the Edward Byron Memorial Justice Assistance Grant application, strategies, and narrative. Does anyone here like to address us regarding that matter?
Can we ask how much the grants usually run?
This particular grant, we're looking,
Let her come up to the podium and ask.
I'm sorry. I looked on here, and there's no place that says how much it is, so the public every once in a while would like to know what the grants are. Thank you.
on this particular grant, we're looking to apply for $44,000.
Okay? Anyone else? That concludes our public hearing. We go to item 3.
3, discussion and consideration, review and approval of program application strategies, narratives for the grant.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
4, authorization for the county judge to sign the required documentation.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
5, authorization for the county executive officer to sign required certifications and assurances forms required by fiscal year 19 JAG program application.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
7B, authorization and approval of MOU regarding TCIS stolen license plates, TCIS stolen vehicles information between Texas Department of Public Safety and Hidalgo County Sheriff's Office, and authorization for Hidalgo County Sheriff as user agency official to sign the MOU.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
That's all I have.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much. Item 8A.
Thank you, Judge Commissioners. Item 8A, we do have an update on ongoing county-owned building construction, relocation and/or renovation repair projects, specifically our building construction, but I will ask Commissioner Fuentes.
Yes. Paul, if you don't mind coming up to the podium, just very quickly, we're going to be doing our groundbreaking tomorrow at 10 a.m. there at the precinct area for our new county offices substation, which would include the tax office, health and human services, and planning. So all three of those departments will be, part of this new project for us. But we also have a portable building that we've put there at the county precinct 1 location, which we haven't had before. Took a long time to go through the state process as far as certifying a lot of the technology, money handling, and all those things. So, Paul, could you give us a quick update on what that portable building will be used for, when you plan to open it?
Oh, definitely.
And as we move forward, please.
As a matter of fact, I think we're having the groundbreaking tomorrow at the Commissioner Precinct 1, David Fuentes. I'm excited. We had a flooding, some probably can't remember how many months ago, but we had to close the West Local office. So the precinct 1 being one of the largest precincts there, we didn't have the services for people from Mercedes, West Local, Progreso, Donna, Edcal, Chelsea, more along that area. So tomorrow, I want to thank Commissioner Fuentes for making it possible that we're going to have that portable, of course, along with Valde and his staff and county judge and commissioners. Thank you for allowing us to bring back the customer service that our people need in Precinct 1. So tomorrow, everybody's invited to come over to Precinct 1. It's on Joe Stevens, right?
Right.
And so we're going to have, the office is going to be able to provide the services for property tax. Anybody who wants to pay the property tax. Also to renew their license plates, do title transfers for dealers. They're going to be able to come to this area. Then we're going to the Elsa area. We had another location in Alamo or San Juan. So now Precinct 1 is going to have their services restored. And then after that, there's going to be a groundbreaking for the new office that Commissioner Fuentes has worked very hard at for us to have a new location for our constituents there. So I'm excited, Commissioner. Thank you. And like I said, everybody can come. And I was impressed when we were talking portables. I thought it was going to be a small little trailer. It's a combination of 4 of them put together. And so there's going to be a big lobby. There's going to be about 6 or 7 locations for cashiers, where there's going to be also for handicapped. So I'm excited to we're going to open the office tomorrow. As a matter of fact, we do have people already there, but tomorrow, anybody that comes in is ready to get service.
So normal office hours between 8 and 5 starting tomorrow, right?
Right.
So we're going to promote that on our page. I encourage you to use any social media communications that you have to make sure the
Definitely.
community knows. I would also, we have some local dealerships that go to you guys a lot, have been coming to Edinburgh.
Yes.
If you don't mind making contact with them and just reaching out to
Right.
them, letting them know that you're now a resource for them back in Precinct 1. It's
Definitely,
been
definitely. We'll reach out to them. Of course, like I said, we're not going to be at full capacity because it's a portable. Before we had like maybe 10 cashiers. We might have 6 or 7, but we just want to let our taxpayers know that we're there for them, along with Commissioner Fuentes, to help them. And then later on, we're going to be at full service once we have the new building. But we'll reach out to all the dealers.
Yes.
Sometimes the volume of the dealers that we have throughout the county, I think there's about 700 dealers. So sometimes when they bring them to us, if we see that it's a lot of volume, sometimes internally we'll refer them to another office and get them out soon. But we'll reach out to especially our neighbor right there in front of us. It's a big dealership.
Right, and it's just exciting to be, now that we've gone through that whole state certification, which took months.
Definitely. We had to wait. Once you close an office, you have to wait for the Department of Motor Vehicle to give you that access back into their system. So it might take 2 to 3 months just for us to install the RTS system in order for us to be able to renew license plates, title transfers. So I think we're ready to go. So.
Well, thanks for being open to working out of that portable building. It's not ideal, but at least we're bringing services back to the area. So thanks a lot.
Exactly.
For
No,
working
that's.
with us.
I was happy that you made it happen, because when I saw one portion of the trailer, I said that's not going to cut it, because you always have to remember that in our office, when we open an office, you got to expect at least 200 plus people waiting. And we have a small office. It's going to be hard for us. They're going to say that we're providing bad service. But with what you brought to us as far as the portable, I'm happy. I think people are going to be happy too, and we're going to try to expedite them as fast as we can.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you, Paul. Thank you, Commissioner.
Sorry.
Judge, Commissioners, item, Mr. Silguero, you can go ahead. I'm just going to give the court and the constituents. Under emergency situations occurring since last agenda meeting, Judge, Commissioners, just for everyone's information, there was some maintenance work that was being done yesterday at the administration building off of Canton Road, up on the roof. There was a chemical that was spilled. And so there was an odor that permeated the building. The constable's office did exactly what they were supposed to do. They asked for us to vacate the building. They had the Edinburgh Fire Department go out there with their trained individuals with respect to the spill. The spill was addressed, and they used the I don't know exactly what it's called, but it's a fan that exhausts, it's a high-volume fan that exhausts air from within the building to the outside. It was cleared up fairly quick, but I wanted everyone to know that, yes, if, in case there was some talk about us being outside, it was to address a spill that happened on the roof. So, Mr. Siliero.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. Raul Siliero from Human Resources. Item 9A, we don't have any personnel items on today's agenda, so we don't need action on that. I'll go to B, approval, and I need to make a correction. It's not certification, it should be acknowledgement. Approval of acknowledgement of employee performance form as a component of Section 8.04 of the Classification and Compensation Plan. Judge, Commissioners, when we implemented the classification plan last year, what we call the grade and step, a component is the ability to move people from one step to another for merit and other reasons. Our plan involves tenure, time and grade and step as one of the components. It involves conduct. An employee, to be eligible, must have no adverse personnel actions. And thirdly, it requires performance.
It's woodworking upstairs.
Oh, okay.
They're woodworking upstairs.
It requires a performance that exceeds requirements
I've
from
got somebody's working up there.
yeah, minimum requirements. So Sergio has already presented in the workshops the estimated cost of the step increase, but we still need one more component, and that's performance. So the cost is going to go down because I don't think everybody is exceeding requirements. The calculation is based on those people that were eligible based on the time and step and eligible based on the conduct. This third component will give us the performance. We don't have an evaluation program in the county. We're pilot testing one in Precinct 4 and HR. We will try to implement that in January. But for purposes of this program, I have developed a form, and this is a form that will be sent to all the departments with the people that meet the first two criteria, and then with the performance returned to us, then those are the people that would be eligible for the step increase, which will be budgeted, and then the people will get the step in January when the budget is adopted. So I'm asking approval for this form so we can get that third piece of the
They would
plan.
need to exceed requirements? Or?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? So it's all going to be subjective evaluation, apparently.
Well, a lot of departments already have data. They have, but we don't have a formal evaluation system. But they have means and ways to monitor their staff performance. This will give a consistent form for us to.
It's better to have something than nothing, but a lot of it's going to be subjective.
Yes, sir.
We have a motion to approve. All those in favor say aye. Aye. And opposed, motion carries. Before we go further, I don't remember allowing any discussion on public participation on item 5A. Did I miss that?
Well, it was Ms. Fern that submitted it, but it was with respect to a tax relief, so she did, obviously the court
You're
did take
okay?
action with.
Well, I was hoping for a penny, and it shows how much your taxable amount is that you can tax.
So.
On my,
Okay, well, I didn't give you your 3 minutes, so what can we do?
I can yield.
You've already taken a vote. I guess you can ask her to come up and say
Okay,
anything
Vern,
she wants
do
to
you want to come back? And I apologize for,
that's okay, I'm used to it. I figured like a stepchild.
No.
Okay, my question here was, on the 5A, was for lowering the tax rate to at least the 57 cents. For the 2019 total taxable value that you're able to tax, and I had to write this out so I could remember it. It's $32,824,746,206. And if you can't work in that amount, my God, I could have fun forever if I could do that. So that amount, $32 billion. And y'all are up there fighting whether we need to raise it. And I do thank Eddie, Commissioner Precinct 2, for at least looking at the possible 1 cent. We got half. But with that kind of money, and this does not take in consideration all the new buildings, all the new businesses, all the new homes that have been built. That's extra that's over here that y'all know about. The public doesn't realize that that's not in here. So, like I said, the school district in Edinburgh lowered our tax rate by 10 cents, not 1 penny, but 10 cents. So we do thank you, and we hope that y'all will consider doing that to help the people in Hidalgo County. That was my question about the amount.
Thank you, and I apologize that I missed it as we were going through the agenda item. Okay, item 9B?
It
or
would be 9C, Judge. I think we approved, you all approved, the court approved 9B, right? Correct. Okay. 9C, this is approval of a letter of affiliation agreement with the University of Texas Health Science Center at Houston to correspond with agenda item 71356, which was approved by Commissioners Court on 7/30/2019. This was an intern. The court approved the position, but the affiliation agreement followed later, so we're just now asking for approval.
We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge, Commissioner.
Thank you.
Good morning, Judge, Commissioners. P.R. Avila with the Hidalgo County Urban County Program. For item 10A, 10A1, approval to rescind action taken by Commissioners Court on August 6, 2019 in a special meeting. Item AI 71576, approval of the cooperative agreement, City of Donna.
I have a
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
In item 10A2, acceptance and approval of the revised cooperation agreement between Hidalgo County Urban County Program and the City of Donna to be included in the current 3-year cooperation agreements. That's years 2018, 2019, and 2020.
So this replaces what we just rescinded, right?
Yes, sir. And everything still stays the same. It was just the language that the wrong attachment
Yes, sir.
was put on.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Thank
Thank
you
you.
very much,
Thank
Mr. Avila. Item 11A.
Morning, Judge, Commissioner, Sergio Cruz, Department of Budget Management. Item 11A is discussion, consideration, and approval of imposition of optional fees for calendar year 2020 in accordance with Transportation Code Section 502.401, 402, and 403. We're recommending to approve the same fees as we have it here in 2019, which is a $10 road and bridge fee and a $10 transportation project fee.
May I have a motion?
Move approval.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Sergio.
Yes, sir.
Mr. Cruz, if I may, Judge, Commissioners, in compliance or in keeping with the posting notice that we did, I'm going to ask the judge to recess Commissioners Court, open up our budget workshop scheduled for 10:30, recess the budget workshop, and come back to our Commissioners Court meeting.
Okay, may I have such a motion, please?
So move.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. That recesses our meeting.
And we open the court,
We
Commissioner.
reconvene, Commissioner.
We'll reconvene the Commissioners Court meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Cruz.
Item 11B, requesting approval of certification of revenues certified by the county auditor in the amount of $24,770.43, and appropriation is the same, and this is for Precinct 4 Road and Bridge.
Move approval.
Second.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you, Judge.
Thank you.
Good morning, Martha Salazar, Purchasing Department. 12A, this is presentation of the scoring grid attached herein for the purposes of ranking by Commissioners Court the responses received in connection with the request for qualifications for arbitrage calculation services. Those were BLX at 487 points, arbitrage compliance specialists at 482, and Hilltop Securities at 452. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of those scores?
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 2 is requesting authority for purchasing department to proceed to negotiate a contract commencing with the number one ranked firm of BLX for the provision of arbitrage calculation services letter of engagement.
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries. They were all qualified.
Very, very much so. In fact, from between 1 and 2, there was only a 5-point difference. Item 2A is presentation of the county's current approved pool of engineers for the nomination of at least 3 firms in connection with the drafting of plans for a request bid packet on the demolition of the Hidalgo County Juvenile Youth Village located in Westlaco
Yes, sir.
because of the occupation code.
Right, so we have an issue over there at the boot camp where we have this building that has just been there for way too long. One, it's a safety hazard, but second, we're looking at possibly adding some services to that area. So this is a necessary part in that. It was requested by the new,
Our juvenile director, Ms. Denham?
yes.
Denner, Ms. Denner?
Ms. Denner, I'm sorry. She
Ms.
did
Denner.
bring this back up. This is an issue that the Commissioner's Office had looked at in the past while Mr. Silva was still here, but there were some constraints back then. And so, as the Commissioner stated, there are services that he's looking for expansion out there. And it is an eyesore, and it is an area that needs to be addressed.
But since this is a county building, I think Glenda advised us that we needed to go through this
Yes.
process. So from my standpoint, I don't know if the other commissioners would like to make a recommendation. As far as mine for the pool of engineers, International Consulting Engineers, I believe ICE.
ICS, right?
ICE.
Okay. And Marty, I understand that we need kind of like a structural engineer type.
Well, I was looking more in the structural, but I did provide you all the disciplines that they're in, so I would assume that, I would presume that a structural, because it's the deconstruction of a building.
Correct.
So ICS,
I would recommend, one of the 3 to be Chanin Engineering.
Chanin? I need one more.
I'd like to recommend Half and Associates.
Okay, if I could have action on those?
Move for approval.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Now I need select, an evaluation committee. If,
Chief.
For me, the chief.
Mayor?
Mayor, yeah.
okay,
Mondo.
Commissioner Hurley?
Dr. Culbertson.
I see.
Move to approve the committee.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 3 is presentation of qualified responsible vendors submitting the lowest and best price for the purposes of award and approval of contract, subject to legal's final review, of course, for request for bid, which is titled Type D Hot Mix Asphalt, which is limestone only. We are going to be recommending, based on the points and on all other calculations that are are in the bid for consideration. Primary would be Frontera at 59.45 cents per ton. Secondary is Tierra Firma at 58.94, subject to the bid bond being in place. And we have the grids as backups to show that, and also they can be used either way.
This becomes effective today, right?
It's on the agenda. It is
Because we
effective
have
today. I've
Ongoing
talked to the mayor.
projects that need to be, furthered, and we need these.
I understand, Commissioner, especially that mile 10 that you are pending
Yes,
on.
move for approval.
Second. The auditors mentioned that we're lacking a certificate of
Yes,
liability
we've been
insurance.
uploading all morning, and we've got the 2 certificates of insurance already
Okay, so
uploaded
that,
until
that's
95.
taken care of.
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
so we have a motion and a second to approve. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item 4 is Hidalgo County Commissioners Court's decision on direction with securing a new electric energy provider contract. I'm giving you some options here. Here is to continue and appoint, first is to commit to continue and appoint an evaluation committee to score and grade the RFP responses received, accepted for the electric energy consultant at a special acceptance date, which was yesterday at the purchasing department, but as yet unopened because it was pending your decision on whether we're going to continue this project or not. So if we're not, then item 4A would be no action, but I need your direction.
I think we've had a very good work session to really get familiar with the industry and trying to find the best deal. I think we've narrowed it down to a point that we really, it's going to be an easy evaluation of whoever gives us the best price now, where it's really doesn't take a consultant to get us there. At least that's my opinion, that we don't need one. But what are the wishes of the commissioners?
I'm comfortable with that.
Yes, myself.
So then
So no action?
if there'd be no action on A,
Well, let's have no action with the instructions to return all of the proposal or whatever.
yes, I have that as an option under under item B. So no action on A, 1, 2, and 3. Going on to item B, cancel the consultant electric energy project and return all unopened RFPs to those submitting.
Correct, yes.
May I have such a motion?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Item C is elect to proceed to select an aggregation pool or co-op or all to secure an electric energy contract for Hidalgo County to commence on 12/1/19. Does the court wish to proceed that way with all three? There's two aggregationists and one co-op, which you've heard from, and I've
Okay,
listed them.
So that everybody can be clear, because I wasn't clear the way you presented it. Because we're seeking an aggregation pool to go, we have a right to basically ask for the price before we enter
Yes, sir.
the pool.
Yes, sir.
And there's no commitment to do that. So what we're instructing her to do is to give a letter of authorization to all three to give us the best price.
Right, that's next on D.
Okay.
One is that we are opting to go that route. So if I could,
Okay,
on
so
C.
why don't we take both of those at the same time? Because
Okay.
that's what we're doing. Right now, it's, we get to see the price before we enter to an agreement.
Well, price and fees, please.
Yes.
Price and all fees,
Yeah.
and it's indicative pricing, because you know, once we then go back to enter, those pricing may vary a little bit because of the market changing every day, but this is to give us a indicative pricing.
But I'm talking about the co-op fees.
Yes, sir, those are going to be
Yeah,
listed on
everything's gonna be-
everything's
everything's gonna be
included in
included.
that
Yeah.
page we're sending them.
Okay,
So,
does
move to-
everyone feel comfortable with that?
Move to approve or proceed as
C, D,
recommended.
C and D, to
C and
approve
D.
C and D.
Okay. So we have a motion and a second to proceed accordingly. Any further discussion? All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
E, I just would like for you to give me the direction to place. We're going to have to give them a deadline to return this, so I didn't know what date we would be coming back to court. So if you'll just allow me to do it at the earliest date once receiving the proposals, I would appreciate that, to place it on for you all to take action.
Third what?
How much time do they need?
I think we're going to give them till probably a week for them to return it.
They wouldn't need any more than that. That's
They,
plenty of
it's gonna
time.
be a week, like a week
That's
from
plenty of
tomorrow.
time.
We're giving them a full week. And then, so we would be doing it on the, we're gonna be the 24th. I don't know if on October 1st, we're gonna have a meeting, since we will have adopted the budget by then. So I guess it would be October 1st, or is that the next date? Is it October 1st? I'm doing this from memory.
Earliest possible in October?
But September.
I mean, I'm sorry, September. I am so sorry.
September 3rd.
I'm already, September 3rd.
Yeah,
Third.
just-
You're already on daylight savings time?
I guess I'm getting ready for Halloween. I have no idea.
Well, I guess
Okay.
the first meeting of September, whatever.
That,
date
that,
is.
that we can bring this
The
back to you.
3rd, the 10th, whatever.
Okay.
that is.
Thank you. So that's approval of that?
So,
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, item B1 for the Sheriff's Office, acceptance and approval of work authorization 3 with an estimated cost of $10,886.64, submitted by Precinct 4 as on-call of LNG Consulting Engineers for their Sheriff's Office bus barn project.
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
On item C1, Health and Human Services Department, presentation of the scoring grid.
But, hold on, Mark.
Ms. Marty, I'm sorry, I need to make an announcement just for the record. With respect to this agenda item, you're reading 12C1 and 12C-B. Commissioner Fuentes will be abstaining from any discussion and/or action related to those two matters. Okay?
So on the Health and Human Services, this is presentation of the scoring grid for the purposes of ranking by the court of those two submissions on online pharmacy billing services. HEB R Extra Advantage at 92.5 and IPM at 82. Does the court wish to rank them in the order of those scores?
Is there a second?
Second.
Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
And B is the authority for purchasing to commence negotiations with the number 1 ranked firm of HEB R Extra Advantage.
Second.
Those in favor say aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. This is the first time we've had more than HEB.
I know. It was, we had had them for the last 3 times, this being the only one submitting. So it's good to have some, competition out there.
Okay.
And that's all I have. Thank you.
Thank you. Did anybody sign up for open forum?
Yes, sir. Judge, we do have participants. I will remind the audience to please respect the speaker's time at the podium. There is a 3-minute time limit. I will advise when there is 1 minute. Our first presenter is Ms. Fern McClarity.
I'm here today to discuss the expenditures of our money and to tell you, as I said a few minutes ago, the Edinburgh Independent School District has reduced its tax rate by 10 cents. The district did not do this out of the goodness of their hearts. It was because 72% of the voters said no more taxes in this coming year bond, that $220 million bond. Unfortunately, the school district made the decision they wanted the whole enchilada, and the people said no. The members of this court has authorized the sale of $418.6 million in bond, and this includes the $190 million for the drainage. It really doesn't matter who approved the bond because the people still have to pay, and it's well known that 40% can't pay. So we are asking y'all, as you were looking at it today, about the lowering it by 1 penny, and you did half, but how about the penny? Because historically we were in the courtroom and we hear the court has not funded departments because y'all are looking at your budget. And we've decided to do it, we hear this all the time, because it's cheaper if we do it now. Look into the people that voted you in office. Look at your precincts. They're poor. Over 40%. We may find out there's even more. They can't afford all the wonderful spending that y'all do. So we're asking to lower it, help them, help all the taxpayers, not just the ones that can afford it now. Please look into their eyes and their hearts, and I'm hoping that y'all will look at this and say it's time to do something to help them. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Next presenter is Mr. Joe Rodriguez.
Morning. Basically, I had a question. There's too much refraining from voting on certain topics from one commissioner, and it goes back to, you got people being hired in law enforcement and being abstained and other departments, businesses from families and stuff like that. Thought, that wasn't supposed to happen in government. It's not supposed to happen. You're supposed to leave all that out and not go at it. That's why there's so much of this corruption. And like I said the last time, just wait for another week or 2 weeks, and you'll see another official getting indicted, investigated by the FBI. Got one in La Jolla. So where's the shoe gonna drop next? Here, in another municipality? There's a judiciary investigation into municipal judges. It happens all over. You know, it continues to happen. And, I mean, it's ridiculous. Like I said, it's just a big black eye that Hidalgo County has, and as the valley does too. You know, and taxpayers are getting tired, and that's why I'm up here voicing it and letting everybody know, come out here, voice your concerns to you all, who we voted in. That way you know where we stand and what we like and what we don't like. Keep your promises. Don't, you know, the majority of you all and are good people. Some of you aren't, you know, no pointing fingers, whatever, you know, but, you know, stop. You know, you're leaving this debt, this stigma to your kids, to your grandkids, and so on. And it keeps, I mean, they laugh at us up in Austin, you know, oh, you're from the valley, ha, 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 ha. You know, that's ridiculous, because I've been up there. I've sat around there, listened, and it's ridiculous. It really is. And, you know, we're getting rains and not still do something about the bar ditches, the culvert pipes, do the repaving of the streets. There's people having problems with dumping, illegal dumping. It's not being taken care of by the precincts. There's like, oh no, you start pointing fingers. No, the city. It's right at the line where it's either municipal or county. Do something about it. It's a health concern, you know, to help the community. That's what you're there for. You know, that's what you got voted in for, to help the community. You wanted it because you wanted to do something good for the community. Do it. Show us that you're worthy of the position that you hold. Honor it. You know, evil only prevails if we stand by and do nothing. So let's do something. For God's sake, let's do something. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, sir. Next presenter is Mr. Jerusalem Flores.
Good morning, Judge Cortez and Commissioners. My name is Jerusalem Flores. Thank you for your hard work and dedication to this county. These past few weeks, I have been talking about property tax relief. It is a difficult issue, but it is an issue worthy of your attention. Throughout the state, Texans have been crying out for a new tax system, perhaps one based on consumption taxes, not property taxes. You know, decades ago, we were afraid of the communists taking over America. If the communists took over, we wouldn't have any rights, no free speech or fashion. Everyone would wear military fatigues like in North Korea. We wouldn't have private property. We wouldn't be able to own our own home or farm or business. The government would own it all. Today, many people feel that our own government will take our property and our rights away. Our government makes all sorts of tax changes, yet the citizens are seldom asked to vote on those changes. Sales tax, fuel tax, property tax, income tax, so many taxes, yet we never even vote on them. Every tax levied on us without our approval makes us feel less like citizens and more like a persecuted minority having no say in the affairs of government. So please consider the fact that many have fallen for our rights to private property, not property taxes. I have never heard, you know, and with all due respect to the soldiers, I have never heard a soldier say that he fought for high property taxes. It's always, you know, for freedom, liberties, and the American way, which is private property, not high taxes. So please support tax reform and tax relief. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. Our next presenter is Ana Gonzalez.
Buenos días, señor juez y comisionados. Mi nombre es Ana González, soy líder de la organización Authorizing y resido en subdivisión Tawny East, que se fundó hace más de 25 años y todavía no tiene alumbrado público. Y estoy aquí para pedirles que se invierta más en la seguridad y bienestar de las familias, asignando un mínimo de 500,000 para infraestructura de alumbrado público, que equivale a 0.23%, menos de 1% del presupuesto anual del condado de Hidalgo. También queremos al menos 2 subdivisiones de cada precinto se alumbren por año, sean vecindades con infraestructura en la parte posterior de sus propiedades o sin infraestructura. Muchas gracias.
A falta del servicio de traducción, quiero pedirle de forma muy amable y respetuosa al señor Valdeguerra si puede traducir para que nuestra voz sea escuchada. Gracias.
Right. And if I can, just real quickly with respect to the speaker that was up there, her name is Ana Gonzalez, and she greeted the court and the commissioners. She's with Arise, and she's here talking about her specific subdivision and in general the county subdivisions with respect to lighting. Again, she'd like for the court to consider allocating at a minimum $500,000 for public lighting in Hidalgo County, which, as she said, or she stated, that is less than 1% of our annual budget, and that she'd like to see that the court consider annually at least 2 subdivisions per precinct with respect to public lighting. And with respect to the translation services, my apologies. That was my mistake with respect to the message that I sent to our translation services. We do have translation services available by Commissioner's Court. And last week for this week, when we set up the workshop, I failed to contact the company about today's Commissioner's Court meeting. But Ms. Monica has already made contact and has told the company that they are to be here for any public meeting held with Commissioner's Court, be it a workshop or a one-item agenda.
And for the help in translation, I think I've got staff here that can probably help provide that information in Spanish. Is Pepe here? Sir, would you just mind having Pepe meet with them to communicate what Valde just spoke about?
Y ahorita hablamos acabando la junta.
Okay, muchas gracias.
Yes, thank you. Judge Commissioners, we do have executive session. It will take about 2 minutes.
Okay. Trying to find all the, there we go. Okay, pursuant to Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code, Sections 551.071 and 551.072, we'll be retiring to executive session to discuss those items. Any action items will be taken in open session. I have a motion to retire to closed session.
Move approval. Second.
All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carries. Okay, we're back from executive session. Are there any action items to be taken?
Yes, sir. Under 16 open session, 16A real estate acquisition appropriation for same, there's no action to be taken. 16B pending and or potential litigation, there's no action to be taken. 16C cause number C5342-17-C, City of Donna versus County of Hidalgo et al. Judge Commissioners, while there was an assignment that was made last week, I have a revision to that, and so I'd like to go to item 15A and 15B. 15A, requesting exemption from competitive bidding requirements under the Texas Local Government Code, Section 262.024A4, a professional service for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation. A motion?
Move for approval.
Second. We have a motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Anyone opposed? Motion carried.
And item 15B, engagement with the firm of or law offices of Omar Ochoa for the provision of legal services representation in connection with litigation and authority to submit letter of engagement subject to compliance with House Bill 1295. And this is specific to open session item 16C, cause number 5342-17-C, City of Donna versus County of Hidalgo et al.
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.
Judge Commissioners, for the record, I have had communications with the law firm of Jones, Galligan, Key, and Lozano with respect to the action that was taken last week, and they are in agreement with this action that's being taken. So we will document the change.
Okay?
There is no, I believe all matters have been taken up on Commissioners Court, so there's no need for item 17 or 18. There'll be no action. We have adjournment, and we do have Commissioners Court next week, Drainage District at 9:30 a.m. and Commissioners Court at 10 a.m.
Okay, may I have a motion to adjourn?
Second.
All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Motion carries.